Recap in minutes. Today, we will be going through a war and action movie entitled Devotion. There will be spoilers ahead in this video, so chill out and enjoy. The movie begins at the U.S. Naval Air Station in Rhode Island in March 1950. A lieutenant, Tom Hudner, enters the lockers room in the base, and listens to the voice of another man behind the decks. Soon the man Jesse Brown comes in front. Tom introduces himself to him and talks about his transfer from Pearl Harbor there. After some time they go to the briefing room in the station. Their instructor Dick Sevely briefs them on the latest developments in the Russian warheads and their threats to the USA. He makes 3 pairs of his 6 pilot officers. Koenig with Mooring, Lavery with Good, and Jesse Brown with Tom Hudner. Then he dismisses them to fly the zone in their planes for practice. At night, Pilot Brown comes back to his home. He sees his wife painting the walls of their home. He surprises her and dances with her. They play and have fun together. Suddenly, police officers come there and ask them to lower the voice of the song. The next day, Jesse Brown comes to the base along with other pilots. Their instructor Sevely briefs them about the newly inducted plane on the runway. He tells them about the advanced technology used in that plane, including torque and speed. Pilot Bill Koenig gives them the details of the F-4U Corsair plane. He tells them that the plane has the notoriety of being the Widowmaker in the battles. Sevely tells them about the attack on USA warplanes in the Baltic Sea by the Russians. He asks them to be ready for a retaliation strike on the Russians there. He orders them to get the manuals from the ready room for further details and leaves. Everyone comes ahead and checks the new plane, but Jesse stays there and keeps staring at it. In the next scene, at Sevely's office, Captain Thomas Sisson comes there and orders them to get ready to be on board with him on the USS Leyte aircraft carrier. He said there are suspicious activities of the Russians on the Mediterranean Sea. So there they will carry out preemptive missions to deter the Soviets. He leaves after alerting them to go on the ship. Jesse comes home at night and tells his wife Daisy about the new orders. His wife gets anxious about him leaving Rhode Island. He tells her his fears about this new F-4U Corsair plane. Her wife encourages him to fly as he has flown the other planes. The next morning, all of the pilots take carrier landing tests USS Leyte. Lieutenant Tom Hudner was appreciated by the instructor for keeping a good approach to land. He hooks his plane to the cable and lands on his first attempt. After him, Jesse comes into the sky. He was nervous. He ejects his hook out while he was way too up. Sevely instructed him on the radio to look at the signs of LSO. He was trying his best to land the plane safely on board. Meanwhile, some colored men also come out to see him land there. They were actually there to witness a colored pilot flying the plane. Anyhow, he comes to the ship and misses the cable this time. He takes his plane up again and takes a turn to come back again. Now, he comes and lands his F-4U safely. After that, Lieutenant Tom takes him to his home. Jesse invites him in. His wife Daisy receives them and offers Tom a drink. At the table, Daisy asks him a favor to keep his husband safe on the ship and in the air. Tom promises to protect Jesse in the line of duty. He leaves afterward. After some time, it is May 1950 and they are all at the Mediterranean Sea on USS Leyte. All of the Lieutenant Commander Sevely's pilots were having training on the ship. Ship Commander Captain Thomas Sisson calls Jesse to meet him. The next moment, there were some journalists from Life magazine who were taking Jesse's pictures. They were there to record some questions to put them on their story. It was all about a pinched article on a colored pilot. When Sevely notices Jesse is uncomfortable with their questions, he takes him away from the journalist. At night, Commander Sevely talks to his team of pilots. He asks them to give him the name of a volunteer to check the gyro of the plane in the air. They finalize Carol Mooring for this work. After this, he gives the catalogs to all of the other pilots to check the serial numbers on the planes. The next morning, Mooring flies the plane to check the gyro. When he reports the function of the gyro to be working in order, Sevely asks him to return to the carrier. On his way back, his approach gets shallow because of the wind and some other improper functions of the plane. The officer on the radio keeps telling him to take the plane up at some altitude, but he couldn't. He crashed into the water when he pressed the power. Jesse and Tom get shocked and immediately run to the edge to see him. But he dies there in the water. They all grieve Carol's death at night. After some time, Sevely, their commander, announces to them that they can have a short leave on the shores of Caen in France. It was because of this that the ship was about to be on the shore for some time. He lets his pilots go visit Caen. After that, they all come to the city. Jesse asks them for his alone time for some shopping for his wife. He goes to the beach and meets a famous actress, Elizabeth Tyler. She was surprised to know that he was a pilot in the U.S. Air Force. Apart from this, She liked and appreciated the enlightenment of the US for recruiting colored men into the services. After these talks, she invites him and his fellow pilots to a casino where she was going at night. Jesse comes back to his friends and tells them about the incident of meeting Liz Tyler. They do not believe him. Then he bets with them and asks them to get ready. At night they go to the casino where Liz has invited him. The guards do not let him in. Surprisingly, he speaks French there. They let them pass afterward. They all meet Liz there and Jesse wins the bet. They spend some time there playing, gambling, and drinking. They come back after some time. On their way back to the shore, they made a little stop at the point of drinks in the street. While they were drinking there, some of their fellow crew members of the ship came there. One of them starts to scold Jesse for being the colored man, coming to the casino while he was sitting with Liz Tyler. He said he had something going on with Liz before they all came there. Lieutenant Tom was watching all of this. He came in between them to calm the situation. But it gets worse and both of the groups start to fight. When the police come there, they run from the street. On their way back, Jesse asks Tom why he fought for him. He clarifies that, if he had the situation, Jesse would have done the same too, and that's why he fought. Jesse replies that he has been fighting his battles for a very long time, so he would not have to worry about him anymore. After some time, Lieutenant Commander Sevely was holding a meeting in the ready room. He gives them the news of crossing the 38th parallel by the North Korean army last night. He said they have taken Seoul of South Korea, and if they take the whole southern peninsula then USA's efforts to contain communism will go away there. In the next scene, Commander Sevely was flying with his pilots to lead a mission in South Korea. At this moment he downs his landing gear handle to open the transit. He connects with Tom to see if his landing gear was working. Tom confirms and Sevely then connects to the control room. He tells them he was facing some issues with landing gear, and asks for clearance for his return to the ship. He passes over the lead to Lieutenant Tom Hudner and goes back. After some time they reach Sinuiju City at the border of North Korea and China. Their mission was to monitor the movements of North Koreans and Chinese alongside the Yalu River. When they dive to find and destroy the anti-aircraft guns, they face retaliation from the ground. They start firing on them. In the meantime, a MiG plane crosses through them. Lieutenant Tom orders Koenig, Good, and Lavery to stay on the anti-aircraft gun, while he and Jesse go hunt the MiG plane. They find him after some moments. MiG pilot engages them in a dogfight. Tom lets the MiG pilot to be engaged with Jesse, while he takes the turns from behind the hills. He asks Jesse to pull up his plane on his command, so he can fire the MiG plane. After this, he does the same and clears the sky for them. They come back to their formation with Koenig. They go to hit the other bridge, but the AA guns from the side of China start firing at them. Tom aborts the mission and calls everyone to turn back. Jesse was not feeling it good to go back empty-handed. He turns back and flies his plane very low. Tom orders him to come back into the formation but he ignores it. He escapes the AA guns and their shots and hits his missiles on the bridge. Everyone appreciates him. He comes back to the formation again and goes back to the ship. At night, Jesse apologizes to Tom for not working in the line and ignoring the commanding officer's orders. He lets him go off this ignoring the order thing but he continues to stick to it. He raises his concern that he will not be promoted with this thing on the mission report. Tom relaxes him saying that he will not write this on the mission report. Jesse said everyone saw that insubordination. Tom comes to his teammates and gets their testimonies regarding the report. They write everything well in the report. Tom comes back to him and listens to him scolding himself from behind the door. Tom comes inside and shows their testimonies to him. He shows him a diary from which he was reading the words to him in front of the mirror. He said, he wrote every hateful word anyone ever said to him was written in that diary. He leaves him and sits on the deck alone. Meanwhile, a sailor comes to him and appreciates his shooting on the bridge. He gives him a watch and says all of the colored brothers collected this money and purchased it in Cannes. In the next scene, Lieutenant Commander Sevely calls a meeting, and gives them the news of the Chinese attack at Hagaru base. He tells them that they get the intelligence from the 1st Marine Division that there were approximately 6 Chinese for 1 US Marine. He tells them that they require air support from them. Sevely orders them to get ready for this deadly mission. He alerts them of severe dangers at the Hagaru base. He asks them to prepare for the takeoff to go to save their Marines from the Chinese. The scene shifts to the Hagaru base. The US planes fired at the Chinese there to support their men. They all get excited when they see a colored man being one of the pilots. The Chinese started to flee the area. While they were checking the area of the Hagaru base, Jesse's plane started leaking oil. Tom asks him to take it higher and find a place to take it down. He changes the course of his flight from the formation. Tom guides Jesse to drop the missiles and load to lighter the plane for a safer landing. Tom leaves him when they get lower at 200 feet. Jesse lands in the plains of the snow hills, and Tom sighs in relief when he sees him okay. When Koenig observes that Jesse could not come out of his plane, Tom decides to crash his plane too for the landing. He crash lands his plane too in the woods to reach Jesse. He walks out of his plane and reaches Jesse. He tries to get Jesse out of his stricken seat. The next moment a chopper pilot, Charlie, an old friend of Jesse, comes there to rescue them. He gives Tom an axe to tear the door away. But at that moment, Charlie realizes that Jesse is dead inside. Both of them get sad and gloomy there. The next morning on the ship, Captain Thomas Sisson announces the death of Ensign Jesse Brown. Everyone gets sad, especially Tom and his fellows. After some time, the scene shifts to Washington, where Tom gets the Medal of Honor for his bravery to save his man. He gives that medal to Daisy. He expresses his grief to her that he could not save his husband to fulfill his promise. Daisy appreciates his valor and efforts to save him. The movie ends at the beach where Daisy and her daughter were watching the warplanes and missing Jesse. Thanks for watching. Subscribe recap in minutes for more videos like this, and help the channel grow.